Welcome to the Leverage Show. This is Brett Ingram. And I'm sitting here on a cold but sunny afternoon, and I was going through my email box. And what I noticed was I started to see a lot of messages that were so off target for me that really had nothing to do with anything that I'm interested in or am as a person or whatever. And it started to occur to me that it would be great to do a show today on, do you really know your customer? How well do you really know your customer? Because there's a really important lesson in this. And so basically, what happens is if you don't know who your customers are, or you think you know who they are, but you don't really, what ends up happening is your advertising, whether it's email advertising, online ads, postcards, TV ads, whatever kind of advertising and promotion that you're doing, what ends up happening is it's off target for a lot of your potential customers. Now, there may be enough where it hits, and so you can generate some revenue and you can, do that. The problem is it's somewhat of a moving target. So you risk sort of going off the track with the people that you were, really hitting home with, and eventually sort of not really tailoring or fitting the needs of your best customers well enough, because you're sort of randomly grasping at straws in terms of your ability to really target what they want. And that's a really risky proposition, because let's take the flip side of that and let's see what the difference and the impact would be. So when you do know your customer, when you know your customer really well, what ends up happening is they start to tune in more and more to your messages. Now, think about this for a second. Have you had maybe an email or a phone call or some sort of interaction, but email is probably the most likely, from somebody, doesn't matter whether it's a company or a person, and at first you thought, wow, this is pretty good stuff or whatever, and then eventually you started to tune them out because they got less and less relevant to you. The emails, they start to make you feel like they don't really understand you. They don't really understand your needs. They don't really understand what it is that you want. So you start to tune that out. Now, the danger for that particular person is that if they actually do have something that's appropriate for you and that you really want, they've already lost you, because once your attention is gone, the likelihood of it coming back is not very high. Now, let's flip it. Is there somebody that whenever an email hits your inbox or voicemail or whatever it is, again, you always pay attention, you always listen, you always go and read that right away? Because chances are you've experienced both of those things. And the first is a perfect example of somebody who doesn't understand their customer, or they've, targeted you inappropriately or incorrectly, because whatever they're sharing isn't hitting a chord with you. Now, on the other side of it, when somebody seems to, just get you, you start to read the email and you see, wow, they really understand what it is that I'm thinking, or they understand what my needs are. How could they have even known that? Sometimes you get one of those emails and it's almost eerie because they just know you so well. And you say to yourself, how could they possibly have known that that's what I was thinking right now, or that's what I was feeling? That's the difference between knowing your customer and not. It's not luck. Those marketers and those people that are hitting that chord, they're doing it because they've done their homework. They understand who you are, who they're marketing to, what your needs are. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper into knowing your customers so we can really define what we're talking about here. When I say know my customer, I don't mean, my customers are males over the age of 40, living in the United States. That's way, 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 way too broad. You want to know not only the demographics like age and gender and things like that, but you want to go beyond all just the physical, statistical things. And you want to really start to understand, what are the motivations of your customer? What are their fears? What are their dreams? Is it a, father of 3 with high school age kids that are about to go off to college, who's worried about his job security, doesn't know if he's going to be able to pay for college, has a mortgage, car payments, and other things to worry about? Or is it maybe, the mother of a newborn who's, really self-conscious about her weight because she gained weight during pregnancy, and, she's concerned, will she ever be able to lose it again? Is she going to have her own identity, or is everything that she's going to be doing now wrapped up in this baby? When you start to get to the emotional level of needs and concerns for your customer, and you really understand that, what happens is there's a transformation in your marketing. And again, I don't care whether you're doing TV advertising, whether you're doing email marketing, Facebook ads, whatever it is that you're doing, mailing out postcards or direct mail, the principle is exactly the same. When you understand your customer on that level, there's no need for hype. There's no need for gimmicks. There's no need for pitches, because you just speak directly to who they are. And those needs come right out at you. And so when your offer or what you're offering just sort of meets exactly with what their concerns and needs are, there's no reason to hard sell anything. You don't need to pitch people or close them or hard sell them on anything, and you don't need to use hype because they're predisposed to want to buy it anyway. Now, you may be saying, well, that sounds like a ton of work, and, look, my sales are fine and I'm able to make sales. That's fine. You may be able to survive just fine with sort of a general shotgun approach, but the issue is twofold. Number one, you're probably leaving a ton of money on the table, because if you had just took the time to get to know your customers better, your offers and your sales are all going to improve and increase. The success of each product or offer that you roll out is going to be even bigger than the one before it. And maybe most importantly, from the fear of loss side of things, your competition is going to be running behind you, chasing you all the time. Because if you look at it from a slightly different perspective, if you're in a market and your business is healthy and everything's going well, but somebody comes into your market and does what I'm talking about, really gets to know your customers and gets to know them better than you do and starts to speak to them on that level, your marketing efforts and your emails are going to be the ones that are getting tuned out. And theirs are going to be the ones that are getting listened to. And then it's going to become really hard to start to make sales. So get to know your customers on a much deeper level, and you'll find that everything is easier. You don't need to be a copywriting genius, because you'll know exactly what it is that you need to say, because you're in their mind. You're feeling what they're feeling. And so you can provide things, and you could create offers and products that fit their needs exactly, and they don't need to be hard sold. So that begs the question then, what if you want to get to know your customers, but you have no idea who they are? Or what if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm just launching my business and I don't have any customers yet? Okay, well, there's a few different things that you can do. Now, the first thing that you can do if you have customers is really easy. Whether you're taking phone orders or email or however you market to them, whatever connection you have with your customers, you want to start collecting this data. You want to start doing surveys. You want to start asking people, hey, listen, we're giving away a $100 gift card. If you just fill out this quick little survey, we will give you, one lucky winner, 5 lucky winners, a $100 gift card. And you can just go to like surveymonkey.com, or there's a bunch of other ones, and you can even sign up for free. You create a quick little survey, ask the demographic questions so you can understand whether male and female, college educated, high school educated, what age range, what income bracket. You can ask all of those things too, but then you can ask them, what is your biggest concern about, blank, whatever that industry is that you're in, and what is your biggest fear about that? And you're going to start to collect a bit of information, and then you can construct a customer avatar. It's basically like a 3-dimensional version of your typical customer. Now, it's not going to be exact for everybody, but it's going to give you a very clear idea of who you're marketing to. And when you have that, every time you sit down to write any marketing piece or do any sort of promotion, you think of that person and you think of talking to them like they're your friend on a one-on-one situation. And talk to them on levels where they can understand it and you're talking to their needs, wants, desires, and fears. Okay? And if you don't have customers, or if you just can't survey them, or you want more ways to collect data, another great way to do this is to find Facebook groups or forums where your customers hang out. So whatever you're into, I mean, if you're selling fly tying kits or, fly fishing kits or whatever, you can find a Facebook group or a forum online that's related to that. Get in there, become a member, and pay attention to what people are saying. Pay attention to what they will talk about, what their fears are. They will talk about what their concerns are. It's a little bit more difficult than a direct survey because you have to sort of pull that information in and look for common threads. The other thing that's really great for this is events and conferences. If your business is totally offline and you don't do anything online, go to events and conferences where your customers hang out. And it's the same exact thing. When I was in the staffing industry, I used to go to HR events because a lot of the people I dealt with were HR managers. And they would have discussions on different topics, and different HR managers would stand up and voice their concerns. And there were always newsletters, HR Monthly or whatever, and it addresses all the common issues. So you could really start to gather some good information. Now, there's no substitute for getting to know your actual customers as opposed to just the industry in general, but it's a start. And it will help you really get clear on how to market, how to target, how to advertise. It will help you with the targeting and what groups to go after and what different targeting characteristics to go after, but it'll also help you with the messaging. And it makes everything so much easier and more effective. So if you don't already, make sure that you get to know who your customers are. As always, if you have any questions, comments, anything that you want me to cover on a future episode of the show, just go to leverigeshow.com and give me your feedback. Be happy to cover that on an upcoming episode. And until then, make it happen.